YouTube.
Shh.
Are we live yet?
Yes, we are live.
Oh, sorry. Go.
And welcome to the InstantCast. I am Brent Allen, your host, joined as always by my co-host Ren Daxt. Ren, how you doing tonight, buddy?
Todd Monken for mayor.
Heck yeah, man. Heck freaking yeah. What about that? I am sure we are going to be talking about Todd Monken all night tonight.
Yeah. A win's a win's a win's a win. The offense obviously looked incredible. The defense looked a little shaky. But, before we start taking phone calls and hearing negative stuff about the defense, which, I'm not going to say you can't, but I have a feeling that the Saints are going to do that to a lot of people this year. I think both defenses are a lot better than they showed tonight or today.
You think so?
I think so. I think both defenses are.
Well, that'll certainly be interesting to see how that turns out for that, because that defense is going to take a beating this week across the podcast and all the media and all those places, and in many cases,
and rightfully so.
I was going to say, and rightfully so in many cases. Well, guys, this is our Instant Cast. We are broadcasting live on Mixler.com. I want to say hello to everybody who is joining us over there, listening live in the chat room. That chat room is filling up. I want to say hello to everybody who is watching us live on YouTube. Welcome to the Instant Cast. This is our brand new Instant Cast. We've got all the new stuff. What do you guys think about all this? We got wait a minute here. I'm still getting used to the direction of everything. We got the new logo. I got Ren, my buddy. He's right there. What's up? Let's do high five, Ren. Can you get it?
No.
High five. And in just a few minutes, we're going to have some info come up that'll be going across the bottom of the screen here. Because, guys, here's how this works. This is our first Instant Cast of the 2018 season. It is now here. We have a game officially in the books. Our beloved Buccaneers are 1-0, leading the division. Did Carolina win? Is that game still going on? I haven't even checked
Carolina
yet.
won.
Sad.
Yeah,
Oh, man.
16-8.
16. 16-8? Okay. Well, whatever. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and say that we're leading the division, because I think we are. And
We are leading the division.
Oh, because we got the tiebreaker, right?
No, we're tied for the lead.
Right, but we also own, because we have a division win.
Oh, that's true. If the playoffs were played after one game,
we're in. We're in, baby. We're in. So, guys, we have that. So, hello to everybody is over in the chat room. I see you guys over in YouTube. We got our Mixer. You guys, so if you want to watch us, you're there. And I also want to say hello to everybody who is listening to us after the show on the podcast feed. You guys are awesome. I want to give a quick thanks to all the people that support us on Patreon, who really, and thanks to them, a lot of this is now possible as we've kind of upgraded the show. So listen, hey, these chat rooms are already blowing up. They're just going. We always talk about those being the show within the show. Ren, I got to tell you, the chat room in our the Mixler chat room, people started coming into that right after the game. People have been in there since about 4:30 this afternoon, just talking in the Mixer chat room, having their own conversation, which
that's cool.
Cool. I've popped in a little bit over the course of the afternoon to say hi and check on them, but those guys have been awesome. So you guys have that. We'll try to keep up with guys and what you're saying over there. And this isn't just us talking about the game. Here in just a few minutes, we're going to open up the phone lines. We'll let you guys call in, and we'll definitely be taking your thoughts. We always remind people this is a PG-13 show, but we don't edit it. And at the same time, keep in mind that we only have one phone line. So if it's somebody's on the line, we'll do our best to get everything cleared off in a timely manner. Just wait for it to clear, and then you call in, and hopefully you make it before somebody else gets call in. So
there you go.
With that, Ren, before we open up the phone line, I just want to get some quick thoughts from you about the game. Bucs won 48-40. This was an offensive shootout, an offensive slug out. So thoughts on this game before we open up the phone lines?
Take the over. I thought that would have been the safe bet. Yeah, the run game looked good early.
Mhm.
When they had to have it, Peyton Barber was still getting 3-4 yards a pop. Fitzpatrick, what can you say? He only missed one throw that you felt like it was like a bad throw, but if you go back and look at the replay, I really don't. We'll probably get into is where he missed Chris Godwin
Mhm.
with a cornerback fell down, but you can explain that away easily. Uh, you know, I what do you say? They punted one time.
Yeah.
Defensively, the defense showed up in the third quarter. They held the Saints to no points, back-to-back 3-and-outs. But like I said, I think the Saints are going to do that to a lot of people this year, and I think that both defenses are better. There's a little pressure on Drew Brees. There was 2 sacks that were missed. I mean, they had him dead to
Mhm.
rights, and he just sort of shrugged them off. So,
Mhm. At
uh,
one point, they even had him. I want to. Was it Gerald? I don't know. It was one of those guys. Had Drew had his hand on Drew Brees, and Drew Brees just got away.
yeah, like that happened twice,
Yeah.
and but they got him. They got him once. The linebacker play, Quan Alexander had a rough first series,
Yeah, he did,
but
buddy.
I thought he came back. He started to realize, oh, hey, Kamara is faster than me. Maybe I should start taking better angles. And it's almost and the defense came with big 2 turnovers. If it wasn't for those turnovers, I
Mhm.
mean, the Saints put up 40 points and turned the ball over twice.
Right.
Like, yeah, that's hard to do. So,
Right.
you know, they got a defensive touchdown.
Right.
Um, but like I said at the beginning, uh, a couple of pods back where I said, it's going to be the defense that the Bucs have to hang their hat on, and it did not come true. But hey,
Yeah.
still won.
Yeah.
W is a W.
W is a W. Yeah, I think the one thing that I want to point out, kind of just before we open up the phone line, is earlier this offseason talking about these first 3 games without Jameis and with Ryan Fitzpatrick. And, I'd said this statement. I've heard a couple other people say something similar where, hey, I'm not really worried about going into these first 3 games. Yes, it'd be great to have Jameis. However, the uh uh, there's enough players around the quarterback position that we should still be all right. If Fitzpatrick just gets in there and he just manages the game, doesn't turn the ball over, there's enough talent around him that we should be okay and we can still put up points. Uh, while I was right about that, I have to admit I vastly underestimated the potential of Ryan Fitzpatrick. Now he may or may not go out there and have a performance like this for the next 2 weeks as well. I don't know. Ryan Fitzpatrick, I think if you look over the course of his career, can be sometimes a little streaky, or like he can have a really good game and then maybe not so much, and then a really good game. So who knows what we're going to get next week? But I have to say I vastly underestimated the talent of Ryan Fitzpatrick and the addition that that when he's on point like he was tonight, because you could tell he was having fun. Like he was in his zone. He was enjoying playing football tonight, and he was formidable. He had more rushing yards than Alvin Kamara did, which which is saying something, I think.
Yeah, that was sort of a key to the game for me was bottling up Kamara. Obviously, they didn't do it in the passing game. I mean, he
Mhm.
did get 3 touchdowns and a 2-point conversion, but that was pretty much the Saints' offense. It was Kamara and it was Thomas, and that was kind of it. Like
Mhm.
Ted Ginn showed up a little bit, in the first quarter, then again late in the fourth, but it was those 2 guys and Drew Brees, and that was kind of what they had. So
Mhm.
uh, they bottled Kamara. I thought was the key to the game. Now, obviously, like I said, the game didn't go the way we thought, but you know, I said last pod where Fitzpatrick just gotta be a point guard, just dish the ball out, let the playmakers be the playmakers, and he did. But what I
Mhm.
didn't expect was he put some balls in some tight places to let his playmakers make those plays.
Mhm.
Um, and they did for him almost every single time. I mean, OJ Howard only had 2 catches, but they were like for 21 yards apiece.
Right.
That first catch, that first diving catch by Chris Godwin.
Oh my
I
gosh.
mean,
Yeah.
how great was that?
Yeah.
Every time they threw the ball to Mike Evans, I think he caught it.
Yeah.
How many he got? Like so,
Yeah.
and
Deshaun Jackson. I think he only missed Deshaun Jackson once. Had 2 deep balls. This is something we were talking about a lot last year of not being able to get those.
yeah. So
So.
this weapons for Winston thing that went on last year, everyone's the Howard and the Godwins had a year to mature. Deshaun Jackson's now more comfortable in the system.
Mhm.
Ryan Fitzpatrick now knows the system like the back of his hand, and they just went out and executed. And I can't like talk enough about Ryan Jensen.
Oh
Like
yeah. Oh my gosh.
he
Yeah.
he was always down the field, like
Mhm.
always. He was like right next to the running back, or they'd throw like a short pass, and if the receiver didn't get tackled right away, he was there. And what about this? What about Mike Evans getting some yak?
Yeah, yeah,
He
I
got
said
some
that. I was
yak.
like, he got yak, and my kid was like, "What are you talking about, Daddy?" So, all right, Ren. Before we get too much further into this, I do want to go ahead and open up the phone line. So, if you guys are out there, you're listening, you're in YouTube land, or you're over in Mixler land, you guys want to call in, please do. That phone line is open. Let me go ahead and get the phone number up here. That number is area code 864-729-BUCKS. That's 864-729-2827. You guys call in. We will take your phone call, and yeah, we'll talk to you. We'll catch your thoughts on the game. We'd love to know, what did you think of the game? What'd you think of the offense? What'd you think of the defense? How about special teams? Uh, you know, where'd we go? So Ren, as we get this going and we kind of wait for that first phone call for people to call in,
Hmm.
um, let's kind of go. I think the big storyline. I think this will be the one that probably dominates the majority of a lot of talk this coming week. Todd Monken calling the plays. Dirk Cutter, it appeared to me at first that he was the one calling plays just because he had that sheet and, he looked like he was doing that job.
Yeah, he had his play sheet.
Yeah.
Right.
But it was really, they said to us several times in the, on the broadcast that it was Todd Monken up in the booth. We saw a video of Donovan Smith after the game, basically he looked like he was trying to pop Todd Monken's head like a zit. Like, he was so excited, like giving him a hug after the game. So, what'd you think of Todd Monken calling the plays and how that whole situation panned out with 48 points hanging up on the board there?
Yeah. What am I supposed to say to that question? I mean, they punted once. The only time, I think they only got stopped twice. One time they missed a field goal
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the first half when they did pop that play to Adam Humphries, and then it got called back, so they just knelt on it.
Mm-hmm.
And then victory formation at the end. Oh, and then one time, I think they had a punt one time in the fourth quarter. That was the one time that they
Mm-hmm.
punted.
Yep.
Late in the fourth quarter with a 16-point lead. So I mean, what do you say? Fitzpatrick looked in rhythm. The line gave Fitzpatrick all kinds of time. I think he
Mm-hmm.
only got pressured twice. It was on back-to-back plays, and both those plays ended up being roughing the passer calls.
Right.
Besides that, he had pockets open everywhere. So I mean, no one was near him, and like I said, he distributed the ball, and it was a nice mixture of run and pass, and especially early, the run was working really well. Um, did you have the Chris Myers, Daryl Johnson feed
Yeah.
the game you were on?
Yeah, that's the one I had.
It was like, at a certain point, I was getting really tired of Daryl Johnson being so shocked about the Saints defense and giving no credit to the Buccaneers offense. He
Right.
just kept saying it. He's like, I just can't believe this. Like, I thought that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, look at our roster. I mean,
Yeah.
look what we did preseason. It was, we always had that caveat where we didn't want to be fooled into believing we're going to do better than we were because of what happened last year. And then, the vanilla offenses, the vanilla defenses. But I always say it's better to see it in the preseason than not see it.
Mm-hmm.
And once again, it showed up. So, yeah, who can say anything bad about Monken's play calling today? I mean, seriously.
Yeah, yeah, and I don't want to take anything away from what Monken was able to do. I will say this, and I want to go on record. I love, 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 love Todd Monken calling these plays. And
For
we,
this week.
huh?
For
For
this
this
week.
week. No,
Yeah.
but in general, and we talked about this a little bit last year. On this show we have said that, we are not as down on Dirk Cutter calling the plays as a lot of people are. I did say this a little bit last year, and I'll kind of go back to it, and it becomes the other thing. There's a good reason that Cutter should allow somebody else to call the plays, because he's not the only one who can. And it's that whole thing. It frees him up to be a head coach, which is what he discovered. Apparently, he had this big conversation with them this week, I guess, in their media meeting, or their programming meeting, production meeting, or whatever, because Moose and Chris Myers were talking about it throughout the show, of how he had said that the giving Monken the play calling allowed him to do other things. However, make no mistake, he was still very much a part of the play calling. That's why he had his sheet. He was communicating back and forth with Monken. Monken may have been the one deciding which particular play they were gonna go for, and being the one who actually was calling it into to Fitzpatrick. But he was very much a part of that. I don't I don't believe, and I don't want people to think that, he handed it to Monken, that Cutter handed it to Monken, and Cutter had nothing to do with it. He just went hands off, because I don't believe that for a second. I that's not visually, I think, what we saw, and
It
I'm
seemed like a collaboration.
yeah, it very much did. Yeah.
Because every time they showed Cutter on the sideline, he was talking to somebody,
Hmm.
and who else would he be talking to?
Right.
He's not talk. He could. I guess he could have been talking to Mike Smith, but I mean, I think it was almost like a group chat.
Sure.
You know,
Right.
like him and Monken, and maybe whoever else was
Yeah.
in on there, and they were sort of discussing the way to attack it. But I guess the final decision came down to Monken. But I wouldn't be surprised if Dirk actually called 10 to 20 of those plays today.
Sure.
Like, hey,
Yeah.
I want this one now, and then Monken would call it down.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Let's see who we got here. You are on the line with Brent and Ren for the InstantCast. Who do we got here tonight?
Hey, what's up, guys?
Craig.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, Craig. What's going on, buddy?
Not much. How you guys doing? Happy Victory Sunday.
Yeah, no joke, man. No joke. We are super stoked about this week.
Exactly. So let's put it this way. This was the game we probably were almost worried about when we saw the 3-game suspension.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're kind of playing with a little house money the next 2 games. I mean, we all said, hey, listen, you got to get 1. 2 would be great. 3 would be off the charts. This is the one game we all looked at and said, wow, this could be tough. Saints on the road, young secondary, now Grimes down, and we have not played well in that dome in the last few years, especially last year.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the block punt. That was you won that game. Next week you have, I think, probably to me is the most winnable of the first 3, and I think they're going to beat the Eagles. I was not impressed by the Eagles as well too.
Yeah.
And listen, the Steelers today, they looked very beautiful. I know it was the rain weather as well too, but no Le'Veon Bell. It's a little bit different as well too. Listen, I know the defense didn't play as well as we wanted to as well too, but they stopped them when they needed to get stops in the third, and they gave a big enough cushion at the end to make sure they had enough plays left as well too to finish it. I think it's a different finish if we make the field goal at the end as well too. I don't think it's as scary as well. Maybe the score doesn't end the way it does as well too. But listen, they don't put pictures on scorecards. A W is a W.
Right.
I will give total credit. That O-line was unbelievable today. Jensen and Marpet, when Barber ran behind them, it was 5 to 7 yards a clip. When they ran outside, not so much. But when they ran behind those 2 guys, Barber had clear sailing every time as well too. And Todd was great with the play calling as well too. We finally utilized all these weapons that we have. And even when Deshaun went down, you still got Godwin. Listen, Fitz makes one more decent throw. Godwin's got another touchdown as well too. They missed that one on that 3rd and short as well too. But they played aggressive the whole day, and that's the way you have to play against Peyton, because Peyton's going to be super aggressive against you. And listen, you got to score touchdowns. You can't get field goals in that dome if you're going to win as well too. And listen, the Saints are going to light up a lot of teams on the scoreboard as well too. But some of those young guys, they got a little taste as well too. They got to see the bullets fly for real as well too. So I think the secondary and the defense is still a work in progress. I am worried about Vernon Hargreaves being able to last the whole season.
Mm-hmm.
He couldn't last even the first game today as well too. But listen, they got the win. This was not the one they were supposed to get, and this is now this is now all right. We come out of this thing 2-1. Now you have I think you have an outside shot of being 3-0.
Yeah.
Right now as well too, going through these first 3 games. So it was good that we all know, who are true Bucs fans, that this team was for real. They had weapons. They had a more talented roster than they ever had as well too. And some of the national people picking us for 3 and 4 wins was a joke. Now, obviously, they don't follow the team enough there as well too. And we knew that this team had more talent on the roster as well too. And listen, let's put it from an injury perspective. You're first, 2nd, maybe 4th round pick in Kappa, didn't play today. So, and
Watson play either.
Yeah. So, you had your first 4 picks not even played today as well too. It shows you that, hey, listen, they've got some depth on this team. But I think the defense will get a little better when Vita can get in there and plug the middle up a little bit as well too. But I was actually a little bit disappointed early in the game in the linebacker play, which I thought is our strongest suit. But overall, listen, they got a W today. When we could all look in our hearts of hearts and say, hey, listen, We wanted them to win. Did we think they were going to win? Maybe not this one. But listen, they got the W on the road and the conference as well, too, in the division as well. Division road win, first start of the game. Hey, it's house money from here on out.
Cutter says all the time that these division games are like winning two. Like they count for two. You get the win and they get the loss. And, it just makes it that much better, Craig.
Yeah. So listen, that O-line, the O-line to me gets the full marks today. I mean, there wasn't a play where Fitz was hurried. He had plenty of time when he didn't, but with the pocket broke, he had plenty of run lanes to go as well, too. He could step up into the pocket today as well, too.
Mm-hmm.
It was just fun to see him hit the deep ball that we begged for to see last year as well, too. And I'm glad he let Todd call the plays because the aggressiveness was there, and the red zone was so much better, the play calls, than we were all screamed about last year, how bad the red zone play calls were as well, too. And did you even notice today? They let Fitz have a QB sneak.
Yeah.
They wouldn't let Jameis do that.
I made a note about that.
Years. Yeah, I was like, Jameis is 6'5". If he falls down, that's a first down. They let the smaller quarterback get that. And they ran an RPO as well, too, with Fitzy.
Yep.
And Jameis, I think, on the outside, his rookie year, when he was out of the pocket, he was unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
It was good to see Todd use the talent we know is there and Dirk to say, hey, listen, I can just manage the game a little bit better.
Yeah, that's what I knew that Monken was calling the plays when they went that quarterback sneak. They hadn't announced it on the I guess the TV yet. Chris Myers hadn't said that Monken was doing the plays. So when I saw that quarterback sneak, I'm like, because I was with Brent when I saw Cutter with the play sheet, I'm like, oh, it looks like Cutter's calling the plays.
Mm-hmm.
But then when they had that quarterback sneak, I'm like, no, like he just doesn't do that. But I'll tell you what I like most about Todd Monken in this offense and what they're doing this year, if you're going to play one-on-one with them on the outside, they're going to identify it, and they're going deep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this Evans was this is probably the easiest game Mike Evans had to get the yards that he had as well, too. Deshaun hitting that deep ball early as well, too. Godwin, we all saw him coming on at the end of last year as well, too.
Mm-hmm.
And Juice was great today and at tight end as well, too. I know Cameron didn't get a touch, I know, on that one play, but listen, Howard was unbelievable as well, too. But listen, this team has talent. Obviously, they got to avoid the injuries right now as well, too, because they got some guys banged up after today as well, too. But listen, play with house money in the next two games. You win one of the next two, I think you're going to have a little bit of a quarterback controversy, I think, as well, too. But listen, this team got through its toughest first test in New Orleans today, and that you cannot say how much that means to us and the franchise as well, too. Especially with all the circumstances between Grimes getting hurt Thursday night and Jameis not being able to play as well, too, as well as he played in the preseason. But, hey, listen.
And, Craig, to your point
and it also helps, too. You don't have Doug Martin trying to find a hole. It was one cut and go for everybody today.
There you go.
Everybody running the ball was one cut and go.
Yeah, and Craig, kind of to your point about the biggest test, because I was thinking about this. You remember last year we came out in our first game, and of course it was delayed because of the hurricane and stuff last year. But we came out, we had that Chicago Bears game, and we dominated. I mean, decimated the Chicago Bears. And then game 2, the wheels came off, and the whole season just went to hell. And so I was kind of like, okay, we had a really good game. What's going to happen next week? Let's wait and see. But there's a big difference between, as far as a test, between the Bears of last year and facing the New Orleans Saints of this year. So who knows what's going to happen next week? Who knows what's going to happen as the season goes on? That's why we're here to track it and to go with it and to cheer on our team. But I don't expect the same kind of fall off next week that we saw last year in where did we go second week? Was it Minnesota? I think it was.
Minnesota. It was Minnesota.
Cardinals, Arizona. It was one of those. I don't remember how it went. It just it all sucked. The whole thing sucked.
It was Minnesota. Then I was at that Cardinal game, unfortunately.
Yeah. Oh, so it's your fault, Craig. It's your fault that whole thing happened. So, all right, Craig. Well, I'm going to let you go here so we can get things back, and we'll open up this phone line. All right, man.
All right, I'll talk to you guys after we eat some Eagle chicken wings next week.
Hey, there you go. I love it.
All right, see you.
All right, talk to you, man.
Hey, Craig.
All right. You know what I love best about that phone call, Ren? Is Craig in Vegas using Vegas terms. Taking it to the house, got Vegas money, pulling
house money,
whatever.
I put that in the YouTube chat. I'm like, ha. Craig in Vegas said house money.
That's funny. Apparently, Aaron Rodgers is out against the Bears. Sad because he's on my fantasy league. All right. Anyway, but guys, phone line is open.
We
If
don't
you
play the Packers.
if you guys want to call in, the phone line is open. 864-729 Bucks. That's 864-729-2827. I see the scroll bar is coming across just as I say that phone number. Very fun. So you guys call in. Would love to hear your thoughts on the game. All right. So we talked about Monken. We talked about Fitz quite a bit. Want to jump back. I had kind of had this as a note. Did you watch the Eagles Falcons game? Well, never mind. Here, let's take this phone call. You are on the air with Brent and Ren for the InstantCast. Who do we got here with us tonight?
It's John over Bucs. What's going on, guys?
Hey, John. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, John.
Man, what'd you think about the game tonight?
Is Dirk Cutter better not give up these play calling duties from Todd Monken. That was one hell of an offensive explosion, and I ain't never seen one as long as I've been a Bucs fan, seen an offense that explosive, let alone score only one defensive score in that entire game.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it. The last time the Buccaneers scored 48 points in a game, actually, on the broadcast, they said that the Buccaneers have only twice scored 48 points. It's tied for the highest amount of points we've ever scored in a game. One of those times was in the Super Bowl. And when we did that, how many of those came off of defensive scores? These were mostly all offensive scores. Yeah.
Almost half of those scores in that game was defensive.
Right. So, that's definitely something to consider. This offense, man, it's humming.
Oh, definitely. Like I iterated, I wrote these articles on our website several times already, especially in the preseason, saying, if we could just keep on showing this consistency, this team is destined for great things, and we will have that playoff team we're hoping for this year. If they keep it up like they did today, now granted, we're playing a Hall of Famer in Drew Brees, so we knew we weren't going to shut him down. So with that being said, for some of these other games, that just gives you more confidence. Hey, we got the offense to score. Our defense, for the most part, they held up. They finished out the job when they needed to. And like Ren had said, there was only one punt in this game. You got to give that play calling up to Monken for only allowing 1 3-and-out like that.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. And, I'll kind of go back to what I said earlier, and I truly believe this, and I think this will play out, that as much as Monken was calling that, and I think Monken's a huge piece of that, I like whatever they did today, whether it was just Monken or whether it was this collaboration, however they did that, that's what I want to see them do as they go forward. Playing. So, if it's Cutter and Monken collaborating or whatever, I do think that's something. I do also, I don't know if you guys noticed, and I wonder how much Cutter was able to be a part of this because he wasn't worried about play calling. He was able to go do some stuff. One of the things he had talked about in the production meeting with the television crew was not having the play calling duties. He didn't have to sit there and stare at his Surface tablet between series while the defense was on the field. He could actually help out with substituting in people and different things. And, if you noticed early in the game, definitely through the first quarter, at some point they pulled Carlton Davis out, because it's Drew Brees identified real early. Carlton Davis was the weak spot back in the cornerback spot, and they just threw to him. Like every pass play was towards Carlton Davis. It just wherever he is, throw there. And at some point they pulled him out and replaced him. And I wonder how much, Cutter was able to say, "Hey, Mike, switch him out. Stop messing with that." And put somebody else in, and they were able to do it. And Ren had said earlier in the show that they had a much better third quarter, which they did. Fourth quarter wasn't as good as third quarter, but fourth quarter is probably better than the first half defensively, I would think.
It just continues like what we've seen in the preseason. They've decided, we're going to do these plays. They've worked. Defense does their jobs. Like I said, it's every time we play New Orleans, we always expect to have this type of a game because Brees is just that good.
Mm-hmm.
So we all know he's a Hall of Fame quarterback. He's going to throw 400 to 500 yards per game, no matter who they're playing. We already know that. So I wouldn't, to those who think that, we gave up 40 points to the Saints, I ain't looking too far into it because, it's the Saints. That's going to happen. If they play like they did and they showed up when it really mattered, there's sky's the limit for this team this year.
Should be fun, man.
Yeah, they look good. I think it's definitely Monken's job to lose now, as far as the play calling. Dirk Cutter always said he used it as like one of his excuses to, not give up playing calling was, well, you always have to take it back. And I never really thought like, okay, so what? So you have to take it back eventually. What does that mean? Yeah, and give credit to Cutter for them discussing it, him being okay with it, getting Monken the time to do it in preseason, and then realizing that it was working, that it was best for the team to let him keep calling the plays and his and a little bit of it too. Something I thought of. They mentioned a little bit on the broadcast is Dirk Cutter's been calling plays against Sean Payton for like 5 years now, because he was the play caller in Atlanta, and then he's been 3 years a play caller with the Buccaneers. So bringing like a fresh person in there, even though it's the same plays, but like it's about the rhythm and when you call them and things like that. Might have gone into it, but I would say it's going to be full steam ahead with Monken calling the plays until the Bucs, they if they go on like a 2-game skid where they only score like 14, 16 points a game. I think the grumblings will start, and Dirk Cutter will start being asked that question. It's like, hey, when are you going to take back the play calling? Hey, when are you going to take back the play calling? It'll be interesting if he answers those questions. But I think it's Monken's to lose right now.
Yeah, like you said, it's Monken's job to lose. I mean, Cutter's been the one that's been calling these plays for a couple of years now. They've also said that it's hard for offense coordinators to give up that play calling when they turn into a head coach. Some take it well, some don't. But we've seen Monken earn the right to call these plays this offseason. I mean, just the way that this offense has gelled and that offensive line, holy crap. I mean, it's just everything we thought it would be. I mean, yeah, we only had like 34 attempts and about 120-something yards between Rodgers, Barber, and Wilson, which he did an amazing job. Wilson did on special teams this afternoon. But one thing I will say though, the kicker Catanzaro, that whole thing has been squashed. I mean, yeah, he missed the field goal, but did it really matter?
Yes, it mattered a lot.
He didn't,
it would have put the game away with 8 minutes
that would
left
have been
in the fourth.
Something that would have screwed the game for us. That was something else. But he didn't miss an extra point. He only missed that one field goal. That whole crap squashed.
I hope so, man. I got to tell you, every time the kicker came out, I still, I'd still sit there and be like, okay, we're good. I would still definitely do that. Well, John, hey, I tell you what, man, thank you so much for your call. I'm going to go ahead and clear this line. We'll open it up, let somebody else call in, okay?
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for calling, John. Go Bucs, man.
See you, John.
Yeah. All right, guys, phone line is open. If you guys want to call in, interrupt us, go for it. That phone number is 864-729-BUCS. That's 864-729-2827. Ren, he was mentioning a couple of things, and I wanted to jump back and talk about the offensive line for just a minute.
Sure.
One of the things that I had said personally was I was very okay with the left side of the offensive line. Thought that would be stout. Talking about your boombox there?
I'm not talking about anything. I can point.
He's pointing. Ren's very boombox that he has. Those of you on YouTube will see what he's talking about.
Bluetooth.
Is it Bluetooth? Cool, man. What was I talking about? Right, left side of the line. Left side of the line is going to be great. The right side of the line, however, though, Ren, was a concern for me. I was just wondering how that was going to pan out with DeMar Dotson and Caleb Benenoch. What's that really going to be like? Is DeMar Dotson going to come back with the same type of year that he had last year?
Arguably against, and he will admit that, Cam Jordan's his toughest play.
Yeah.
Like his toughest get. Like, the guy that gives me the most trouble is Cam Jordan, and, no sacks. And I didn't even really see any, like Cam Jordan's name wasn't even mentioned.
once.
all game.
Like once or twice. Like that was it.
Yeah.
I think he did have a sack on
No,
Fitzpatrick,
but they didn't give up any
or
sacks.
like it got called back. I don't know. He got one time. One time his name was called. Cam Jordan was. But I got to tell you, and even for the couple of plays that Evan Smith came in for Caleb Beninock, which I'm not exactly sure what was going on there. I feel like the line didn't miss a beat. Like they were humming along, doing just fine. And you talked about Jensen earlier, and I'm gonna pull this clip from the All 22 when it comes out of him smashing people. Like I'm gonna pull these clips over the course of the year, put together a fun little montage. I'm sure other people will too, but it's gonna be a fun.
Have to.
It's gonna be a fun video for sure.
Fisher will do it for us.
Yeah, there you go. It'll all just be "I told you so."
Yeah,
just scrolling across the bottom.
Hashtag it'd be fine. Well, that was fast. Like, okay.
All right, so
Fish being fish.
So I mean, but are we agreed? Offensive line looked pretty good today. Looked pretty stout across the whole line, not just the left side.
Yeah, I'd have to give him an A++.
Yeah.
I mean, 0 sacks against there's a lot of high draft choices on that defensive line.
Mm-hmm.
Both their ends are very good. They spent basically 2 first-rounders to get Davenport from Texas El Paso, wherever he went.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't UTEP, but so the Saints are all in this year,
Mm-hmm.
and then they went and spent next year's third rounder on Teddy Bridgewater. Like they have no draft capital next year. They have a second
Mm-hmm.
rounder and then a fourth. Like in the first 100 picks, they have 1 pick so far.
Mm-hmm.
So
I tell you, if Sean Payton winds up not staying with the Saints this offseason, for whatever reason, they're gonna have a hell of a time finding a new head coach. Wanting to walk in. I'm having flashbacks to Bill Parcells saying he'd come in and then he realized the salary cap situation and said no. Not that I feel bad for the Saints, and not that I think anything's gonna happen to Sean Payton. It just
and I don't think they're gonna have. I don't think you really have problems finding a head coach. There's only 32 of those jobs. I mean, you might not get the guy you want, but it's not because of lack of applicants.
Fair enough. So yeah, offensive line looked good. I want to talk about the defensive line in just a minute, but before we jump over there, real quick, phone line is open. Anybody wants to call in, 864-729-BUCS. We had a brief conversation in our Buck in the News show, which came out over the weekend. We were talking about the inactives and kind of floated the idea of what if one of the inactives is Ronald Jones. And we quickly dismissed that. However, turns out one of the inactives today was Ronald Jones in favor of Sean Wilson. And boy, did Sean Wilson have a good game as an undrafted rookie.
Did he? He had like 1 return.
He had a good return. He had a pretty good run.
Carry for 6 yards. Okay.
Okay, yeah, but I think that was like his only attempt that he had, right?
It was.
So
I'm not. He didn't embarrass himself, but I'm not ready to jump on this. Sean Wilson had this great game bandwagon, and I don't think it's fair to say that the Buccaneers sat Ronald Jones over Sean Wilson. If Sean Wilson wasn't returning kickoffs, it would have been Ronald Jones. The reason Ronald Jones wasn't activated was because they were thin at corner. They put the not Desmond Trufant, who's Harris, the guy we got from the Saints, who we joked about. Oh, look, it's a Saints game. We're going to cut him right after this. And they put him in IR. So they did. So they had to bring him Javian Elliott. With Brent Grimes out, they had to activate all their corners, and it just came down to a numbers game. You're going to have a back that you're only going to have packages for right now, or you're going to, have all your corners up to be able to try to stop Drew Brees. That's why it was. It was not Sean Wilson is better than Ronald Jones.
Thank you for saying that, because I think we're going to hear a lot of that coming up here over the course of this week. So, all right, let's move on. Let's talk about the defensive line. Sure. I'm going to have to rewatch this game and really focus in on them, because I don't feel like they played up to expectations. The defensive line. Yeah.
Well, it's a tall order. I mean, the reason Drew Brees is Drew Brees is because he gets the ball out so quick. I mean, Drew Brees doesn't get sacked. That's just a fact. We got him once. We got some pressure. Should have had him 2 more times. A 3-sack day against Drew Brees is like, holy cow! Let's start popping bottles. In the hotel lounge. So I thought they bottled up Kamara. The Saints didn't run the ball at all. I think they got under 100 yards total running the ball off somewhere around 20, 22 carries, something like that. So I'm not upset with the defensive line with their pressure or with their run stoppage ability. I was really worried about getting gashed up the middle, and it didn't happen. I just knew that if they got to Breeze, more likely it was going to be a coverage sack because
Mhm.
he's takes his drop back, puts his foot in the ground, and he releases the ball. He's been doing this almost 20 years, man. I mean,
Mhm.
he's got it down. He doesn't take sacks. He just doesn't. So, getting him once, the what they did well was when it was 3rd and long, they got
Mhm.
to him quick enough where he had to take the check down, and that's how we'll be able to get off the field, especially in the 3rd quarter. The few times we did stop him, and there was a couple times where he took the check down and missed tackles by the linebackers, allowed the guy to get to the first down, and they had moved the sticks to start all over again. But I thought that we would like to see 4 or 5 sacks from them every game, but against a guy like Drew Brees, like we'll get him against Cam, like we'll probably get him against Matt Ryan. The Eagles were harassing the crap out of him Thursday night, so
Oh yeah, they were.
yeah. So the best is yet for come for that defensive line, and I still want to say, the sacks are going to come from the McCoy, Vinny Curry side more than it's going to come from the JPP
Well, that's
side.
where it did come from tonight, wasn't it? Vin Curry who got the sack tonight.
I think it was his only tackle.
It was his only tackle.
Mhm.
There you go. So, so defensive line is there. Linebackers. The first quarter, the whole defense just did not look good to me. Now, I need to go back and look at it a little bit more, but that's my immediate impression. Just defense did not look good, particularly from the linebacker and in the cornerback positions. Actually, I think we looked pretty okay at the safety position, but in particular, those two things really did not feel like those two went very well.
Yeah, Justin Evans, with the scoop and score, which that's a really athletic play at that speed to be able to control your body, scoop it, spin, and stay in bounds and all that thing, and uh, get in the end zone.
Mm-hmm.
That's hard to do. I'm sorry, I paused. I'm reading the YouTube chat line and or chat room, and
Mm-hmm.
someone comes in and talks about there's a little bit Rollin Jones. Oh, he's not ready to play in the NFL. Blah blah blah. Hope we didn't blow a draft pick. This guy comes in and goes, I thought Ren was much younger.
Can I be honest? I did too until I first met you.
Yeah, up your butt, RPM 4445. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I get that a lot. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I'm irrational like a young person. I fly off the handle like a young person.
It's what it is.
I don't have an old lady voice.
I don't think people ever sound. I don't think people ever look like what they sound like they look like. Like if you've never met them before, you always have an image in your head of what a person looks like, and it
Right.
never plays out to be right, like ever. Which is why I was always a little resistant to this whole YouTube thing. But turns out people wanted YouTube, so here we are.
Don't try to apologize to me now, RPM 4445. Yeah, be fine. I'm just giving you crap. I don't care. I get that a lot. Remember when we went to the draft at the stadium
Mm-hmm.
and I was doing the full hockey beard
Oh
for the
yeah,
Lightning?
yeah.
We took that picture with Captain Fear, and like
Uh-huh.
someone was like, "Oh my God, Ren, you're so old." I'm like, "All right, that's it. It's the hockey beard. Lay off, whoever that was."
All
It
right,
was
so let's
Chris.
bring this back to the game. You were talking
No, we're
about the
talking about how people are ageisting me. It needs to stop.
ageist.
Ageisting.
Don't be ageist.
Don't be ageist. So what are we talking
Listen,
about?
isn't that a protected class? Age or elderly in this country,
Protected from what?
a protected class. Anyway, we're talking about the linebackers and how they're doing. What'd you think, Ren?
Okay, Brent, you froze up.
Oh,
Okay, there you go. You're back.
there we go.
You've been a little choppy this whole time. We're gonna have to talk about it off the air.
Yeah, we'll figure that out. Anyway,
Yeah.
moving. All right, so let's keep talking about it. The linebackers. Yeah.
They had a terrible first series. A couple of missed tackles, bad angles, especially Quan Alexander. Levante David had some missed tackles. He was one of the guys that, when Drew Brees threw short, and was basically giving up the drive. Levante David missed a tackle on a first down. But Quan did punch the ball out for that fumble. So it was with Vernon Hargreaves, no Brent Grimes, like you said, they were throwing at Davis a lot. MJ Stewart was in there. I think everyone made an appearance except for maybe JV and Elliott, and then Hargreaves ends up going out, so we got like JV and Elliott, Ryan Smith, and a couple of rookies out there.
Do we know yet what happened with Hargreaves?
They said it's a shoulder when they were pulling him
shoulder.
off. It looked like to me like he pulled something like in his rib cage.
Yeah. I thought that same
sometimes how
thing.
they get those cartilage pulls or whatever. That's what it looked like to me. But they said when he was walking off, it was his shoulder. We'll find that out. We'll find that out Wednesday if he's practicing or not. And, it's a little scary, especially because we know Grimes, that soft tissue injury, is not probably going to be back against the Eagles. But
and we probably won't have Djax either, depending on how bad that concussion was. They did pull him off the field for a concussion. So, but I'm less worried about that. And I think, was it Craig who said this, or maybe it was John who called in just a minute ago, of how the Djax went down sucks. I don't want to see that. However, Chris Godwin is still there. Like, we're still,
man, just reload.
Right. Like,
okay, it's Evans humping, it's Evans humping Godwin. We're good.
Yeah, I'm okay. I'd prefer to have Djax back. Brent, I'm going to go ahead and make a prediction. I'm going to make a way, way, way too early prediction, but you're going to hear it right here, right now. Next year, when it comes to our wide receiver core, we've talked about how we're probably going to lose Djax. We're probably going to lose Hump. My prediction is this. I think we might lose one of them. I don't think we lose both of them. I think they'll find a way to bring. It's one of the two. I don't know which one, but I think, and I probably would lean towards Hump, but I think they're going to bring them both back. I think they're going to bring at least one back, and I think we'll see one of those two on the squad next year. That's my way, way too early prediction. We'll see when it comes time. But I'm not as sold on losing both of them in this coming year as I once was, especially on the back of tonight's performance.
Yep, one game changes everything.
Yes, it does. Dang it. For those in the podcast feed and out on Mixler, Ren's giving me a thumbs down right now.
I am giving you a thumbs down.
All right.
Overreacting.
I said it's a way, way too early prediction. Qualified.
That's true.
I did.
I'm crazy, and here's why.
I'm gonna go ahead and let it be crazy. All right. Well, Ren, we're a little bit early right now, but man, I think we've covered all the thoughts that I have. Do you have anything? If you guys want to call in, go ahead. The number is 864-729-BUCS. That's 864-729-2827. Ren, you got anything else you want to talk about from today's game?
Not really. I'll go back and we'll look at the pressers, after game pressers, and before Wednesday's show where it's sort of look at the stuff. You'll be looking at the tape. I'll be looking at the tape, giving out the first edition of Dak Stats will be out, coming up, and it'll be out for Wednesday's show. So I guess we could talk a little bit more about Catanzaro, because that if he would have made that game, would have been over, and we could have been on easy street. Because that was.
Did the ball get tipped? Do we know?
I don't know. I don't know.
It kind of looked like it, but it kind of didn't all at the same time when they showed the replay.
It doesn't matter. If it gets tipped, it's his fault. If he misses it, it's his fault. Either one, it's his fault. You got to kick it over the guys trying to block it. That's your job. So
Right.
It's not like it was a bad snap or a bad hold. Then you can blame somebody else, like Drew Ferris, and fire him, and
right.
Get him out of there. So yeah, there's nothing else really to talk about till we actually, both of us sit down and look at the tape and put some, put some stats to these performances and see actually who really did have a blah game and who had the good game on the defensive side. The offense, man, aces across the board. I don't, who name one player who had a bad offensive game.
Ronald Jones.
That's not
no. It's nobody did. I mean,
even feeling that fire.
Even no. Yeah, nobody did. Nobody did. I mean, it was great. I mean, loved seeing Jensen out there. I loved seeing, all the way around, man. It was good. Mike Evans, controlled himself. I thought, there was a time I thought he might get into a little fisticuffs out there. I will say this, particularly in the third quarter, coming out in the third quarter, Saints started playing dirty. Was it just me? I mean, they really seemed like there were things that I saw them doing that some of them got called, some of them didn't get called. But like they were getting frustrated, they were getting. I don't know if Sean Payton went back there and just said, do whatever the hell it takes to stop these guys or what. But I mean, they just did not.
I think it was Jensen's fault
On that
because,
one.
Well, they came out and it wasn't a late hit on Fitzpatrick. It was the rule where you can't, because you and I were in that room when Sean Hockley told us about these new rules that are going to happen. And if you're, it doesn't matter if you're defensive lineman, linebacker, safety, cornerback. If you sack the quarterback, you can't land on top of him.
Right.
You can't put your whole body weight, and that's what happened. He didn't hit him late. It's just when he put him on the ground, he fat bodied on him. He just blah. And then I think Jensen got in the mix there, and they end up calling a penalty. It was 2 penalties it was like roughing the passer for landing on him, and the other one was for the other guy that was fighting. But I'm sure Jensen started it, and then when Jensen started, and then that continued for the rest of the drive. And after that, I thought everything just settled back down. But 'cause remember that was the drive once we threw it down to Cam Brate and he was out of bounds. Jensen got in a fight that moved us back where it made the field goal longer, but he still made it. But and I think that was totally planned. If that would have been called like if that would have been a first down, Jensen wouldn't have done anything. He waited till it was like, okay, it's 4th down, and then he and made his move, I guess, so to speak. So
do you mind having an enforcer like that though out there?
No,
I mean, will you take a 15-yarder to? Yeah,
I'm not mad at it at all. Like anytime someone breathed on Fitzpatrick, Jensen was all over the field, man. Like, he was the first person back there to help Fitzpatrick. He was like Peyton Barber's running the ball. Jensen's right next to him. He's down there throwing blocks. On that Chris Godwin fumble that bounced up to himself, you saw one Buccaneer come flying in. It was Jensen.
Yeah.
So the guy, he's as advertised.
Do you have a DAC stat for that? Do you have a DAC stat for that position?
I don't, but he would get a lot of bonus points just because doing those extra things that because every time you looked up, the ball carrier, the receiver was tackled, and who's standing right next to him? Jensen. Why? Because he's busting his butt downfield, still trying to help out.
Yeah, man, and I got to tell you, Jensen could be making his case for free agent of the year for the upcoming PewterCast Awards heading up towards the end of the season.
Way too early.
I didn't say it's a prediction. I just said he could be making a case. That's all. Because I'm sure he's aware. I'm sure he saw Levante's 4 Pewdies from last year. Said, I want
everybody made a case today.
You know what? You're right. Yeah.
It doesn't matter. He made a good case.
Yeah, he did. So, all right. Well, I think that's going to wrap us up.
Unrein didn't make much of a case today.
Yeah. Vita Vea didn't really make much of a case for Rookie of the Year.
Do we have that? Do we have that award?
Yeah, we got Rookie of the Year. That's one of ours. If you guys don't know what we're talking about, at the end of each year, we have an award show, and you guys, the fans, get to vote. It is a fan-voted award show, and the players and whoever, various people throughout Buccaneers fandom, actually get a little award. They get it's a little weighty. It's a good little sized trophy that they get to take home, and it's a fun little thing that we get to do.
It is. So, I still haven't won one. We got to make up a category this year where I'm the only
co-host of the year.
Yes, exactly.
There you go.
And since you're the owner of the PewterCast, you can't win prizes.
I'm not allowed to win. Okay.
Yeah. Exactly.
I can't buy myself a trophy.
You can. You just can't put it in the. You just can't win the contest.
Gotcha.
You can buy whatever you want. Like I can buy, a Lombardi trophy, an actual Lombardi trophy. I could go to Tiffany's and hey, make me this.
Make me a ring. All right. Well, let's go ahead and wrap up this show, Ren. That's where we've devolved into.
You're old.
I want to I want to thank everybody who joined us over in the YouTube and Mixer chat room. If anything fuzzed out over there, guys, I apologize. Like I said, we're still getting used to all this new gear, this new equipment, and we'll be working on that to figure that out later. So you guys, thanks so much. Thanks to everybody who called in, and to all of you guys who are downloading the podcast. Thank you guys so much. Please, if you like the show, go over to iTunes, rate and review us. That helps us out so much, gets us higher in the search feeds and stuff that allow people to see us and allow the show to grow. If you want to join the community, you want to support the show, go to patreon.com/thepewtercast. All that money that we get in for that actually just goes right back into making this show that much better. And this is all really a part of that. You guys be on the lookout. We've got 3 shows that we do, possibly 4, every single week. The InstantCast, we have our Buck in the News show, and then Ren had mentioned earlier, we have our show that comes out midweek where we'll be doing our final thoughts, our grades. We'll get a chance to review the game film, and we'll have a special guest for the show as well, and we'll tell you guys who that is later this week.
We get one.
Do what?
When we get one.
When we get one, right. So, Ren, with that, why don't you tell the people out there where they can find you on the internet, my friend?
Easiest way and the best way, and probably the only way, is on Twitter at Rendax, REN_DAXT. I'm always down to talk Buccaneers football. And I got my new flag here, my pewter tapestry flag.
There we go.
Brent bought it, and I was going to buy one. He said, no, wait, mine's too big. I'm going to send it to you. That was like a month and a half ago, but it finally got here today. And I was thinking there's no way it's too big until I pulled it out of the package. Because this thing could cover a queen-size bed.
Right.
It's a duvet cover, actually.
Yeah, but all of that is part of making the show better.
Yeah, because that will be hanging up in the back, and I'm gonna try some cool things with lighting. But when I think I'm gonna do live breakdowns of the DAX stats.
Love it.
On YouTube. So next time you see me, I have to go to Home Depot tomorrow, so I'm gonna figure something out how to hang this from the ceiling, and I can attach it and unattach it. So.
There you go. Well, hey, since you said that, listen, guys, go over to youtube.com/thepewtercast. Make sure you click subscribe. Click that little bell notification to be notified whenever we go live. You guys will know and be able to see when Ren has gone live. So I want to thank you once again to everybody out there. If you guys want to find me, I am at Brent Allen Live across all the social medias, and you guys can join the show. Follow us on Twitter at thepewtercast. You can find us at facebook.com/thepewtercast. And if you're a little more long-winded than the 200 and some odd characters that Twitter gives you these days, shoot us an email to thepewtercast@gmail.com. Please shoot us that email. We will be reading those on air this week, so we would love to know. We just had about 4 new people subscribe to the show, Ren. I love that. Thank you guys for subscribing. Would love to hear your guys' thoughts. We'll have that in our fan interaction segment. Rate and review us. And until next time, guys, go Bucs.